Good day to you all. You are yet welcome to another interesting episode at the IDC Learning Center. Today we are going to be looking at a series of questions involving governments. For those of you planning to write JAM, let's look at the questions. Number 1 says, in a nation, sovereignty is vested in the A, electorate, B, elites, C, community, and D, state. Of course, we know in a nation, the supreme power of the state over its citizens is sovereignty and is vested in the state. The supreme power of the state over its citizens. So our correct answer is option D. Let's move over to number 2. Number 2 says nation-state is synonymous with A, sovereignty, B, nationalism, C, self-actualization, and D, liberation. Of course, we know sovereignty is main characteristics of the state. So our correct answer will be sovereignty. Number 3. Number 3 says members of a parliament are required to report the proceedings of the House to their A, constituencies, B, political parties, C, local government chairmen, and D, traditional rulers. Of course, we know from option B to D, they don't fit into what's parliamentary system of government. So by inferring, we know our answer is constituencies. They report the proceedings of their House to their constituencies. Number 4 says, in pre-colonial Igbo land, autocratic rule was made difficult by of course we know the Igbos, they never operated a centralized system of administration. So if we're looking at these options, we know our answer will be what? Absence of a centralized system of authority. That was why autocratic rule was made difficult in pre-colonial Igbo land. Number 5, the Code of Conduct Bureau was essentially established to A, reduce corruption in public life, B, ensure the independence of the public service, C, enhance probity and accountability in public service, and D, protect the rights of public servants. Of course, even from the name, the Code of Conduct, the option that will best suit the Code of Conduct here is what? Option C, enhance probity and accountability in public service, because that was the main reason the Code of Conduct Bureau was established in the public service, to enhance accountability, probity. So that's our correct answer. Let's move over to number 6. Number 6 says the principle of federal character was adopted in order to promote equitable allocation of A, positions and appointments among people of various regions, B, appointment between the North and the South, C, revenue between groups in the country, and D, opportunities between males and females. Of course, we know the principle of federal character was mainly established for what? For the positions and appointments among people of various regions. That was the sole reason principle of federal character was established. Let's move over to number 7. Number 7 says, in a parliamentary system, when the legislature passes a vote of no confidence on the executive, it means that from the name parliamentary system, of course we know we're dealing with what? We're dealing with a parliamentary system of government. And when the legislature passes a vote of no confidence on the executive, by inferring, government students, you should know that what? The executive are required to resign. So the option that fits that is option B. The executive is required to resign. The other options do not fit into what is being discussed. Number 8 says, an example of a public corporation in Nigeria is A, Nigerian Television Authority, B, National Universities Commission, C, First Bank of Nigeria, and D, National Population Commission. Of course, we know a public corporation is one who provides essential services to the people. So what organization here provides essential services to the people? Of course, we know it should be what? The Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, through what? Quality news gotten from good source. I believe that is true. Number 9 says, under whose regime were Akwa Ibom and Katsina states created? A, General Sani Abacha, B, General Yakubu Gowon, C, General Ibrahim Babangida, and D, General Murtala Mohammed. Of course, we know Akwa Ibom and Katsina states, good government students, you should know that Akwa Ibom and Katsina state were created during the regime of what? General Ibrahim Babangida, and he is an option C. That's correct. Let's move over to number 10 now. Number 10 says, the upper house in most federal systems is created to... What is the upper house? Of course, you know the upper house was created to what? To ensure equality of all federating units in the country. So if you're asked, the upper house in most federal system is created to A, prevent excesses of the executive, B, enable experienced elders make input to governance, C, ensure equality of federating units, and D, oversee and check the lower house. Of course, from my explanation, you should know your answer is C. The other options do not fit into the cycle. Number 11 says, which of the following was a Secretary General of OPEC? You know your OPEC is what? Your oil and petroleum, right? So which of the following was once Secretary General of OPEC? Of course we know. If you have studied your government textbook very well, you will know Rilwan Lukman was once a Secretary General of OPEC. In all these options, option A, Jubrin Aminu, C, Dahatu Bayero, and D, Aret Adams, they were never once a Secretary General of OPEC. So our correct answer is B, Rilwan Lukman. Number 12 says, each member state is represented on the board of governors of OPEC for a period of A, 4 years, B, 2 years, C, 3 years, and D, 1 year. Please do not make the hasty inference of choosing 4 years, just like we have 4 years tenure. Please do not make that inference. Each member state is represented on the board of governors of OPEC for a period of 2 years. For a period of 2 years, yes. So option B is our correct answer. Let's move over to number 13. Number 13 says, which of the following countries pioneered the idea of ECOWAS alongside Nigeria? Of course, we know our head of state at that time, he collaborated with the president of Togo, and they both pioneered the idea of ECOWAS. So which of the following countries pioneered the idea of ECOWAS alongside Nigeria? Our answer will be option B, which is Togo. Let's move over to number 14. Number 14 says, state as a political entity refers to A, geographical location, B, an association of men in a given society, C, an organized group within a definite territory, and D, a branch of a nation. State as a political entity. In all these options, we know what? The option that best suits state as a political entity is what? Option C, an organized group within a definite territory. These other options, they do not fit into state as a political entity. So our correct answer is option C. Let's move over to the next question. Number 15. Number 15 says, a typical form of delegated legislation is A, a bill, B, a decree, C, a bylaw, and D, an act. Of course, we know what's a bill, we know what's a decree, and we know a bylaw and an act. But which of these is a typical form of delegated legislation? When delegated legislation is when power is passed down to be enforced, right? Of course, we know a bylaw, power is passed down to the local governments to enforce a bylaw. So of course we know it will be our option C, a bylaw. A decree, a bill, and an act, they are not forms of delegated legislation. Number 16, a governmental system in which constitutional supremacy resides in the center is A, confederal system, B, parliamentary system, C, unitary system, and D, federal system. When power resides, when constitutional supremacy resides in the center, of course, we know that it is what? It's a unitary system of government. Because of time, I won't explain the other concepts. But you know when power resides in the center, it is a unitary system of government. Number 17 now. In a feudal system of government, the two major classes are the serfs and the A, vassals, B, masses, C, lords, and D, elites. Of course, we know in a feudal system of government, the two major classes are the serfs and the lords, just as we have the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. Because of time, I will explain on that. But you should know, in the feudal system, the two major classes are the serfs and the lords. The serfs work for the lords. The lords receive the proceeds from the serfs. Let's move over to the next question now. Number 18 says the rule of law is a negation of A, absolute power, B, supremacy of the law, C, equality before the law, and D, limited power. Of course, we know what option here conflicts with the doctrine or the ideology of the rule of law. Of course, we know it should be what? Our option A, it can be supremacy of the law. B, C says equality before the law, it can be that, and D, limited power. So our correct answer is option A, absolute power. They conflict each other. Number 19 says, to ensure the rights and freedom of citizens, the powers of the arms of government must be A, fused, B, incorporated, C, separated, and D, rotated. Of course, this is a straightforward question. To ensure rights and freedom of citizens, the powers of the three arms of government must definitely be separated, and it is our option C. Let's move over to number 20. Number 20 says the rights of citizens to participate in the affairs of government of their country is called A, political rights, B, civil rights, C, economic rights, D, social rights. Of course, we know the rights of citizens to participate in the affairs of the government of the country is called what? It's called political rights. Your political rights is your right to participate in the activities and the affairs of your country. It can be civil rights, B, C says economic rights, it can be that, and D says social rights. So by that explanation, we know our answer should be what? Our political rights. One says radical nationalism in Nigeria is generally attributed to the influence of A, Aminu Kano, B, Mbonu Ojike, C, Herbert Macaulay, and D, Nnamdi Azikiwe. Of course, we know our correct answer is Herbert Macaulay, because he was the first person to, first politician to create a political party in Nigeria. The NNDP and NCNC were products of his radical nationalism. So that is option C. Let's move over to number 22. Number 22 says the three registered political parties at the inception of Nigeria's Fourth Republic were A, PDP, AD, and APP, B, PDP, AD, and PPA, C, PDP, APP, and AC, and D, PDP, DPP, and PPA. Of course, we know during Nigeria's Fourth Republic, the three parties were PDP, AD, and APP. That's correct. Number 23 now. Number 23 says military intervention in Nigeria arose from A, international pressure for change, B, the desire for a military government, C, civilian desire to relinquish power, and D, perceived incapability of civilians to govern. So what was the reason the military government intervened in the political affairs of Nigeria? Mainly it was because of what? They perceived that civilians were incapable to rule themselves. That was the main reason they intervened in Nigeria's affairs. So our correct answer is D, perceived incapability of civilians to govern. Let's move over to the next question. Number 24 says, ECOWAS at the initial stage of its intervention in Liberia was perceived as A, invaders, B, neutral, C, partisan, or D, incompetent. Of course, we know when ECOWAS intervened, most of you that know that when ECOWAS initially intervened in the activities of Liberia, it was perceived as neutral by everyone. It was perceived as neutral. Though I know most of you go with partisan, but the correct answer is neutral. Number 25 says, power that is delegated is exercised A, by devolution, B, directly, C, by coercion, or D, indirectly. Please do not make the hasty inference of picking by coercion, which is option C, because coercion is mainly attributed to what? Power. But when power is delegated, it is exercised through the instruments of what? Devolution. Devolution. So whenever you see power is delegated, power that is delegated is exercised, know that we are talking about by devolution. Number 26 says, according to Aristotle, a form of government in which the few rule for the benefit of all is A. Autocracy, B. Polyarchy, C. Aristocracy, or D. Diarchy. Of course, we know when few rule for the benefit of all, that is a political ideology that is synonymous with what? Aristocracy. Aristocracy is when few, according to Aristotle, is when few rule for the benefit of all. It was the same man that said all kings, all rulers must be political ideologies. Okay, number 27. One major advantage of the unitary system is that it tends to make government A. strong and stable, B. distant from the people, C. free of controversy, and D. popular among the masses. The major advantage of a unitary system of government is that it makes government strong and stable, since when power resides in the center, so it ensures quick decision making and a stable and strong government. Number 28 now, next question. It says, Nigerian nationalism was described as two-faced by A. Edward Wilmot Blyden, B. James S. Coleman, C. David Ricardo, and D. John Payne Jackson. Which of these political ideologies described Nigerian nationalism as two-faced? Of course, we know is what? I don't expect most of you to know the correct answer to this question, but as from today, you should know Edward Wilmot Blyden made that statement. That was ideology. Number 29. The presidential system differs from the parliamentary system of government in that A. executive and legislative powers are fused, B. the principle of collective responsibility applies, C. powers of the three arms of government are merged, D. the tenure of office of the president is limited. How is presidential system different from parliamentary system? It's different in the sense that the tenure of the office of president is limited for a tenure of 4 years. While in the parliamentary system of government, the tenure of office is not specified for the head of state. The head of government or the head of state. It is not specified. So that is a major difference. Number 30 now. Number 30 says, a constitution that is difficult to amend is A. rigid, B. unwritten, C. flexible, and D. written. Of course, we know when the constitution is difficult to amend, we know that is what? That is rigid constitution. That's a rigid constitution. So our correct answer is option A, rigid. Number 31 now says, one of the functions of pressure groups is to A. articulate the opinions of their members, B. prepare the budgets, C. aggregate of attitude held by members of the National Assembly, and D. nominate the president. Of course, we know it can be nominate the president, which is not a function of pressure groups. We know it can be aggregate of attitude held by members of the National Assembly, and we know pressure groups, prepare the budget. So our correct answer is articulate the opinions of their members. That is one of the functions of pressure groups, amidst others. Number 32 says, a major shortcoming of the ombudsman is A. lack of executive power to enforce decision, B. lack of adequate resource, C. lack of clear-cut mandates, and D. its inability to restrain bureaucratic excesses. Of course, we know the ombudsman is was the Public Complaints Commission. So what was its major shortcoming? The major shortcoming of the ombudsman when it was still in force was its lack of executive power to enforce its decisions. Number 3 now says, in Nigeria's first republic, the prime minister was both the A, head of government and a lawmaker, B, head of state and party leader, C, head of state and commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and D, commander-in-chief of the armed forces and party leader. Of course, we know this is just talking about parliamentary system of government. And in the parliamentary system of government, the prime minister is both a lawmaker that is in the legislature, having his cabinet members, and a member of the executive as the head of government. So he was both the head of government and a lawmaker. That's in a parliamentary system of government. Number 34 says, under Nigeria's second republic, the Senate was under the leadership of A, J.S. Tucker, B, Godwin Ume Ezioke, C, John Washpam, and D, Joseph Wires. Under Nigeria's second republic, who was the Senate president? Of course, if you study your current affairs very well, you will know what under Nigeria's second republic, Joseph Wires was the Senate president. Let's move over to number 35. Number 35 says a public corporation is managed by, what's a public corporation? It's an enterprise that provides essential services to the people, like I mentioned earlier. So it is managed by A, minister, B, a general manager, C, the board of governors, or D, the board of directors. We know, of course, a public corporation is not managed by A, minister, B, a general manager, C, the board of governors, but a public corporation is managed by D, the board of directors. So our correct answer is D, the board of directors. Let's move over to number 36. Number 36 says, rule by the old people is known as A, monarchy, B, theocracy, C, gerontocracy, or D, feudalism. So rule by the old people is known as what? Which ideology here? Of course, we know rule by the old people is what? Gerontocracy. It's when the old people rule the government. But this is not enforced anymore. Though you may jokingly say it's still enforced in the Nigerian system. Number 37 says, one basic feature of a monarchical form of government is that A, separation of powers is absolute, B, succession is true heredity, C, the ruler has a fixed tenure, D, members of the executive are elected. So what among all these options is a basic feature of a monarchical form of government? I know a monarchical form of government is a form of government which deals with what? Kings, or the rulership of kings or queen. So what basic feature is in a monarchical form of government that is in these options? Is it separation of powers is absolute, succession is true heredity, the ruler has a fixed tenure, or members of the executive are elected? Of course, we know our answer is what? Clearly, it's succession. Succession is true heredity. Thank you all for watching this very interesting video. Please like, share, and comment on this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to this amazing video. As for those of you that are writing JAM, I wish you success in your JAM. Thank you all for staying with me. My name remains Ahmed Joshua.